did, thumbs down if you didn't. Can you hear me? Oh, good, good, yes. Let's close this transcript. Okay. Oh, that's wonderful. Did anyone do anything exciting during the break? I spent a week at the beach. It was really nice. It's freezing cold in Cape Town, but we did have a bit of a warmish week, well, a few days, and then I escaped to the beach, and it was just really nice. And then it got freezing cold, so I packed up and came back home. What did everybody else get up to? You don't have to delve into personal stuff, but just like what did you do to relax, to decompress, to de-stress, and to get yourself ready for semester 2? So yeah, pop your ideas in the chat. Tell us what you did. While you're doing that, I will just let you know. So we've got 2 modules, as you would have seen in your timetable for this semester. The one is curriculum studies, and that's CURS8412, and that's the one that we are having our lecture tonight for. And then next week we start drink coffee on the stoop worked wonders. I can imagine, as long as it was like a really nice, strong filter coffee, Diana. I'm sure that's just wonderful. Just work. Sorry, Sunette. Yes. Spend time with my baby girls away from work at least for 2 days. That's wonderful, Dustin. I mean, sometimes we really want to get away, but we just absolutely cannot. And being the school holidays, we want to try and do as much as we can. Went to Malaysia for a week. Oh, Kabela, that sounds wonderful. Why did you come back? Kavi says managed to actually take a few days off for a change. Highlight is that I bought a new vacuum. That's wonderful. And I find it so interesting, Kavi, because that's one of the highlights of my little holiday as well. That I completely like, I mean, I wouldn't have mentioned it if you didn't. That, like it's such a big thing because my helper had to go away for 2 weeks. And so I didn't know how I would cope with the floors. So I bought one of these little it's called a Dreamy, and it's one of these little robotic vacuum mop things. And I can sit on the couch and watch Dreamy clean, like, and just be so happy. So, yes, buying appliances is definitely something that makes us happy. Yeah, look at that. Okay. So yeah, as I was saying, if other people are still typing, please carry on. This is really cool. We'll also be doing TLHE 8412, and that one starts next week. And TLHE 8412, I can say, is an extension of 8421 or 8411, but it deals with assessment and assessment practices. So it does follow through in that you will be working from modules within your discipline. And of course, we know that the third side to the teaching and learning coin is assessment. So therefore, it does fit in. And it's a really nice module because from the work that I've been doing recently in development of assessments and all the research I've been doing, I think doing this module right now is especially exciting because of everything that is happening with AI tools and how to leverage them to best design assessments that also are smart enough so that students don't leverage them unethically. So I'm going to be very excited to see the ideas that you come up with, moving away from the old write 3 essay structure type of assessments. Okay, so let's move on. Curriculum studies is, as the name suggests, we're going to be studying the curriculum. In other words, by the end of this module, you will be able to develop and also evaluate curriculum. Okay, so the pairs, I'm keeping an eye on it. It hasn't been released as yet, but as you know, when it comes, just keep an eye on it. Like the stairs in Hogwarts, it likes to change. So we must just keep an eye on the pairs. And then obviously, once I get the pairs, I can complete the schedule, which is why you haven't received it as yet. All that I did was populate the first few ICE task dates on your calendar, just to give you an idea for when you can complete those submissions, by when. And then obviously the QA sessions that we will have, I'll also know once I receive the pairs. And then I don't want to set the dates for task one and task two for part one and part two, sorry, for TLHE until I see where CURS is, because then I don't want you to have to be submitting things in the same week if I can avoid that, just to give you enough time to work. Okay. So for CURS, there are two assignments which you will complete in your little groups. So I've already allocated groups. I've had to swap them around a little bit. I know that you did get comfortable in semester one, but the reason for this is because it's two modules and it's linked to the disciplines, especially for CURS, it's best that you work as closely as you can, as much as possible with people in your discipline. If that's absolutely not possible, like if you have something very different and nuanced, then you can join another discipline, but it just means that you'll obviously have to add your little bit to the submission. So the groups have been allocated on ARC, and I will send an updated list. I was just waiting till the end of this week to see if anybody else didn't have a group, or anybody else's somebody's partner wasn't responding or something like that. But I haven't received any more queries, so hopefully by next week, then I can upload that list. But for now, everyone I think is allocated. Is that the PAS, Danielle? When did you get that? Thank you for this. I checked this morning. I'm gonna download it now and I will work on your schedule and have it all sorted out for you by tomorrow. Thank you for sharing. I looked this morning and I didn't see it. 3 days ago. So I wonder what's going on my side. Okay, thank you. Um, I will go and double check. Maybe there's something wrong with my permissions. I'll need to go and have a look. But thank you for sharing this. I'll sort out the schedule and then you'll have all your dates by tomorrow afternoon. Okay. So there's four tasks that have been uploaded for each module. You'll complete them with your peers, paraphrase, in-text reference, and bibliography every single submission. And I repeated that. I don't know why, maybe just because it's so important. So yeah, and please, of course, use AI tools ethically. So in semester one, like if I suspected the use of AI tools, I gave you the benefits of the doubt because it was your first semester. And I said, well, maybe you did use some parts of the tool and then some part was your own thinking. But for this semester, I mean, it's semester two now, your work needs to all be original and your own. So if there's going to be any unethical AI use suspected, then I'm going to have to send your submission through the process where it will go to the Intellectual Integrity Officer for investigation. And based on the outcome of the investigation, then it will follow whatever course it does. So that's just the normal process. Okay. So assignment one, the whole assignment will be completed and submitted in your group. And the assessment support recording, the assessment support recording has been uploaded. You can start collaborating and allocating your roles in groups. So I think for CURS, I've already uploaded assignment one and assignment two, assessment support recording, or is it for TLHE? No, it's for CURS. Assignment 1 and Assignment 2 have been uploaded for CURS. For TLHE, Part 1 has been uploaded. I will work on Part 2 and 3, hopefully, sure, also tomorrow. And then hopefully that will be uploaded, though you don't need it just yet. But if you want to go through it, then it will be there for you. Kavi, are we allowed to use the resources provided on ARC? Yes, most definitely. You can use the resources provided on ARC, but be sure to reference and acknowledge and all of that. Yes, as in reference them in our assignments. Absolutely, yes, you can, but just make sure that you're referencing and acknowledging everything correctly. Okay, so I've also given you an academic writing and referencing, no, I think, sorry, not academic writing, a referencing refresher quiz, just to take you through everything again after the little bit of a break, just a reminder, and so that you can go through your referencing guide and just refresh yourself so that you're all ready, okay? Guys, please, if you have questions, just throw them in the chat box as Kavi did, and then I can answer them for you. But now what I'm going to do is just share my screen and just show you where I've put everything on ARC so that you know. Can you see my screen? Can someone unmute and say yes or no? Oh, I see the thumbs up. Okay, great. Thank you for that. Yeah, so I just want to make sure you know where to find everything. So first, very important is communication. And you need to check your announcements because like important information, as you will remember from last semester, is posted in announcements. So what I did was, as soon as I saw students were in the module, I already went and then I just started populating and putting some information so that you could start working. Yeah. So that's the announcements. And then if you come to content, okay, it has the usual material that's already available on ARC that you can work through. And then there's your assessments, links to submit. Right. And then I have additional recordings. Mine is, of course, going to look a little bit different from yours because I'm in a lecturer view. You'll be in the student view. But basically, under additional recordings lecturer is where you'll find all the recordings that I've uploaded for you, just to help explain concepts and, take you through things, whatever. Okay, and then here you will also find your assignment assessment support recordings. So you can see I've uploaded one. I put assignment 1 there as well. I should have done that for assignment 2, but for assignment 2, I just put the recording. But the assignments are uploaded in important documents. Okay, then here's your ICE tasks, all there. I just found this so funny. Yeah, that little image. Okay, and then for CURS, I've done something additional because I know CURS can be sometimes maybe challenging because it's so opaque. Like nothing is, like I cannot tell you 100%, like, that is the theory or that is the approach. It's what fits and it's what works and it's how you motivate for things and how you justify. So that does make it a little bit challenging. So what I did, to try and give you an additional layer of support, I've created these little learning maps for you. So I've done 2 so far, and then I'll show you, I'll just come to like at the end of learning unit 2, there is a little quiz at the end, but I'll speak about that. So basically the learning map gives you your what the learning unit is about, an overview, your learning objectives, and then the prescribed readings. I've tried to make them click and then you can just read them. I hope the links all work. If they don't, then you're going to have to go in the long way. And the same for the additional readings. Okay. And then there's some videos that you can watch, to help you understand the contents a little bit better. And then I've given you a little schedule that you can follow if it works for you. If it doesn't, you don't have to follow this. You can pace yourself however you like, but this is just a suggestion. And it has like little things that you can do to make sure that you're engaging. So, for example, like how we learned last semester in the flipped classroom approach, there's got to be input and then some sort of output. So here you read my welcome announcement, you watch the video, you read prescribed text 11, and then you summarize the main goals of curriculum development. And that's just for your development and understanding. Yeah. And then, of course, we're now here by this. Okay. And then at the end of it, what I've done is given you a little checklist. And then at the end of week 1, have you made contact with your group? Have you accessed your MO, your calendar and timetable, your assessments, reviewed and diarized the PAS? And thanks to Danielle, we all now have the PAS, and then completed the referencing quiz. So this is what the learning unit maps look like. And then for the Learning Unit 2-1 at the end, there's a little link for a questionnaire, like a survey, just to get your feedback on your experience, with using the learning maps and the content on the module, anything more that you need me to do, what extra support you need, maybe something, you're not finding very useful and you would rather do without. So basically, an opportunity for you to provide me with some feedback so that I can then tailor as much as possible your learning experience for the rest of the semester. Okay, so that comes at the end of Learning Unit 2. Okay, so then following that, is lecture recordings. So at the end of this recording, obviously, I'll throw it into YouTube and then I will pop the link in here. Then I've also created to help you little quizzes at the end of the first 2 learning units. So you can just go, I mean, they're not complex, but what they will do is help you focus your learning and ensure that you understand the main concepts. And then you will be able to apply them. And then important documents, how to access your PAS and module outline, your module outline, assignment 1 and assignment 2. And when I went to check yesterday, the summative wasn't there as yet, but I'll keep checking. And as soon as it's available, then I will do the ASR and I will upload the recording for you. Okay. And then finally, referencing support material, the usual to help you, your intellectual integrity policy, guidelines for responsible AI use, intellectual integrity, referencing refresher, ethical use of AI, and then most important, your IIE Harvard Anglia referencing guide. Okay. So that's basically how everything is laid out in ARC. And there's one more resource that I'm working with a colleague to create for you, and that is like a little package that you can come onto ARC and complete, and then that working through this package and completing it will support you in completing assignment 1. So I also wanted to add that resource for you, but I'm still finalizing and just tweaking uh, some last little bits, and then I will have it uploaded. Danielle, this is like really ridiculous because I checked and I didn't find the summative. And again, you've got the summative. I will go through it, of course. Yeah, but it seems correct. It's 2025, but it wasn't there on my side. But okay, thank you so much for sharing this as well. I will go and double check what's going on my side. Thank you. I've had huge issues with Telcom and Vumatel, and then added to it at the same time, my laptop had to go in for that Microsoft or Windows or whatever upgrade. And then everything just went insane because all my shortcuts. Yes, I'm wondering the same thing about Danielle's access. Like it seems to be topping even mine here. Yeah, so okay, I'm glad, Kavi, that you also maybe, I'm assuming you checked and also didn't find the things. Maybe we just didn't know where to look. No, I don't think it's that. We'll just have to look. So yeah, as I was saying, everything, and I don't know if this happens to you, but you get so used to viewing your device in a certain way, like your shortcuts and your icons and everything have to be like, a certain layout and size. And even like your Outlook, everything changed. The font type, the font size, um, everything changed. I literally sat with my device and cried until IT finally came back and worked on it for, I think, almost an entire day to get everything to try and look as much the same as it could. So maybe I'm still having eye adjustment issues. I don't know. But Danielle, thank you very, very much for sharing both documents with us. You've just made sure that I have a really, really jam-packed, busy day tomorrow. But that's cool. Okay. Sorry, let me get back to the PowerPoint, and then we can carry on with what we need to. Are there any questions so far? Anything that's not clear? All good? Great. Okay. Thank you, guys. Okay, so what is CURS? Like I said in the beginning, by the end of this module, you should develop curriculum and also be able to evaluate the curriculum. So this module provides students with background theory relating to curriculum design and development. It introduces students to the different curriculum design models that can be adopted and encourages them to evaluate these in their own subject context while gaining a critical awareness of forces and factors influencing curriculum and curriculum changes in higher education. So it's quite an interesting module, but like I said, it also has a layer of complexity. So first of all, we have to know what's going on in the larger context because all of those impact our curriculum design. And also in regards to the different models and approaches, it's what works best for you. So I cannot say to you, Tyler's model is going to suit the humanities the best for whatever reasons. Because like that might work in my context, but in your context, it might be completely different. So it does require engagement and critical thinking and analytical thinking and lots of understanding of your faculty discipline and also of the approaches. But that will come, nothing to be anxious about. Okay, so your module outcomes demonstrates an understanding of the concept and theories of curriculum in a higher education context, analyze the factors that influence curriculum design, develop, and evaluate curricula in a given context. And if you have a look at assignment 2, you are given the opportunity to evaluate curriculum. And then if you look at your summative, that is where you are going to create your curriculum. Very exciting. So just know that that is what you are working towards, okay? Everything else is giving you that background, knowledge, and understanding. And then critically evaluate the impact of change and innovation on curriculum design. Okay, so those are your module outcomes. What does the module look like? So there's 5 learning units. The first one, an introduction to curriculum studies. And here we will look at the context of higher education, all that has happened, to cause disruption in higher education and so on. And then in Learning Unit 2, we look at the process of curriculum development. And here we look at the process and products approaches, and we look at different models. In Learning Unit 3, we look at curriculum development at micro level, and then now specifically what you as the lecturer will do in terms of curriculum development. And then Learning Unit 4, course design for significant learning. And here we look at think. That's our major person. And what think has to say needs to happen in course design for significant learning to take place. And then finally, Learning Unit 5 is curriculum evaluation. Okay. So to get into the meat and bones of what we are doing this evening, if everything else is clear and we can move on. Learning Unit 1, an introduction to curriculum studies. There are 2 themes as you would have seen when you were reading and preparing for this evening. And theme 1 is curriculum studies as a field of study. And then theme 2 is the context of curriculum development. So just a very quick overview. This is from your module outline. This introductory learning unit prepares you to explore the nature and definition of curriculum studies, including curriculum development. It's mainly in preparation of a closer look at the process of curriculum development, including the paradigms, approaches, and models, which will be looked at in Learning Unit 2. The unit is kicked off with a short examination of the field of curriculum studies and concludes with a closer look at the context of curriculum development in SA Higher Education. So Learning Unit 1, you will work on for 1 week. So you'll work through the themes, 1 and 2 on ARC, and then all the relevant sections of your prescribed material. Now, this is interesting, and it's what I've been saying. The challenges you may experience in this learning unit relates to defining key concepts in the field of curriculum studies. The field has been described as elusive, fragmentary, vague, and confusing. So you must consult various authoritative sources that describe the concepts such as curriculum and curriculum development. You can't use, for example, dictionary definitions, right? You must go to current, relevant, credible sources. And then you must use that to construct your own definition based on the different views and your own experience within your own discipline. So always remember that whatever we are doing in this module, you must then apply and bring into the context of your own discipline. All right. So just very quickly, curriculum studies as a field of study. So what do you understand by curriculum studies? In your own words, in the chat box, you can just type. Why is it necessary for lecturers to be empowered with regard to curriculum studies? So these 2 questions, I'll give you 8 minutes to answer. It's now 57 to 8 at about 5 past. If you could please have typed up a response to 1 is fine, but both will be even better, please. Responses to these. Okay. If anyone's not clear, then you can let me know. Danielle, you asking, can you please define current journal articles? As for psychology, the paper cannot be older than 10 years. I don't know if I explained this to your group or my PGCE students last semester, but in education, it is different. Simply because what happened in the past determines what happens now. So for example, Piaget and Vygotsky and, those founding members spoke about their things way back when. And that's what we are doing what we're doing today is based on that. So sometimes you have to go to articles that are older, but where possible, you should use what is current. So, for example, how curriculum was viewed back in 19 noughts and how it is viewed now is very different. And it's the same for assessment. How we look at assessment nowadays and how assessment was viewed, I mean, not so long ago. I can even say last year, the way things are progressing. So therefore, you might need to go into the history of something, and then of course you will have to refer to um, older sources. Does that answer your question, Danielle? It depends on what you are required to do in the question and what you are trying to do in your response. That's how it works in education. So even if you are writing a research paper, you could go way back, like 1940, whatever, if that's what you need to do. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so back to the task at hand. I'm sure people are already busy typing their responses, so I'll keep quiet now. Please don't be shy to respond, everybody. There's no right or wrong answers. We're all here to learn and to learn together. So even if you aren't sure about something, throw it in there. I'm sure we can find the nuggets. And if not, then we'll just redirect you to where the nuggets are. So don't be afraid that your response is going to be laughed at, or we've been through this in semester one, so you know to be comfortable. And yeah, you can post your responses. Okay, great. So I gave an extra minute, and I'm glad I did because Sunette and Dustin came in some lovely two responses. So let's just go back and have a look. Kavi says, understanding how and why a curriculum is being developed. But to go back to specifically what a curriculum is and what your understanding of a curriculum is, and then you can say what curriculum studies is. So curriculum is basically all the little parts that make up that big part where learning happens, if you can put it just as simply as that. So then it is exactly what you're saying. Being empowered with it impacts and informs how you deliver. Very good. Yes. Dustin, definitely worth more than 2 cents. My understanding of curriculum studies is sort of an investigation of current delivery of content, the implementation thereof, what works, what doesn't work, ultimately improving teaching, learning, and assessment. Yes, most definitely. And then Diana, curriculum studies is the study of how and purpose of a specific curriculum was developed, and it is important for lecturers to be able to analyze and improve on content and delivery. So as you can see, the theme that's emerging here is this improvement on content and delivery. So obviously what we can already ascertain is that there has to be an element of reflective practice in curriculum design. So very good for picking up on that. Analyzing what currently works in your discipline and what does not. Very simply put, which approaches and which models work for your discipline and which don't. Planning future strategies and developing approaches that are adaptable, flexible, and inclusive. Absolutely. You've hit that on the head for our Gen Z students and, of course, for the South African context. Very good. Dustin, oh, wait, I've gone too far down. Lecturers must be empowered to stay relevant, especially if higher education is seen fragmented as it responds to curriculum reform. Absolutely. And in Learning Unit 1, we unpack curriculum reform quite a bit. Casey Lee, curriculum studies looks at what we teach, why we teach it, how we teach it, all the small bits coming together, and encompasses curriculum design, development, implementation, and of course, evaluation. So empowering lecturers means they can adapt content and teaching methods. They can see the bigger picture, macro, of how the lesson fits into programs, overall goals, very good. Better shape and support learners, students in their studies, boost professional confidence of lecturer as they are involved in the design process and not just the delivery of the content. Yes, so even if lecturers are given the content to teach, if you are knowledgeable enough about curriculum at all levels and the aspects that are important for curriculum development and curriculum studies, then you are able to influence change even from a micro level. Will be interesting to see if curriculum developments keep up with tech advancements that are happening. Absolutely. We have to completely relook at everything. Now with AI, and everything that's available out there. I'm just trying little tools like Pages and these SCORM packages and all these little tools, but there is so much out there. AI can now create an entire curriculum for you. So now where does then the lecturer fit in? It's no longer a lecturer who needs to necessarily develop curriculum. AI can do it. And then what do lecturers do? And the answer is very simple. Lecturers are the ones who will fully understand the complexities of their own context. AI cannot understand that fully. And the complexities of their discipline within that particular context. See, because having content knowledge is one thing, having pedagogical knowledge is another thing, but then putting the two together and having that content pedagogical knowledge is something completely different. And that's where the complexity comes in. So it's the same with curriculum design. It still definitely does need that human element where you have to come in with your analytical and critical thinking in order to make sure that it is 100% fit for purpose as much as possible. Okay, curriculum studies is a field that looks at how and why we design, organize, and teach educational content in the way that we choose to. Absolutely. AI can't meet a contextual brief 100% accurately. No. And that is where students very often fall short. And I don't know if you've experienced this with your own students, for those of you who are currently lecturing or even teaching in the school context, because I believe the unethical use of AI is an absolute plague in high schools at the moment. Um, you can immediately see a submission that has been AI generated because especially if you are the developer of an assessment, you immediately know what students you have an idea as to what the outcome, what you're going to receive from the students. And then AI goes on a complete different trajectory. It's not even just, the language that it uses or the Americanization of the spelling and its thoughts, but there's certain nuances, and that's even an AI word, nuances. But there's certain nuances that, as a developer and as an expert in the field and in the module specifically, and as like I said, the developer, that you will be able to spot. Yeah. So AI definitely, yeah, can't do it all 100%. Okay, the context of curriculum development. And I'm not even going to, sorry, I'm just taking one little step back. I'm not even going to profess to fully know the extent of what AI can do in terms of teaching, learning, and assessment. And yeah, I'm speaking about the ethical side of things because it's so vast. Just a few months ago, I was blown away that AI could write an essay, right? And then I learned that AI can even generate an entire visual using data that you feed into it. So you just give ChatGPT raw data and it can create an entire graph or table, whatever you want it to. I mean, it's progressing so fast. It's progressing so fast. I'm sure you'll agree with me. Like the possibilities are endless, but we still have to maintain a human element. So I can't say that I know all that AI can do, and this is what you should be doing in your curriculum in terms of AI, because that's where your research will also come in terms of your faculty. Yeah. Okay. So the context of curriculum development, how have the changes that occurred in South African higher education over the past decade impacted on curricula in higher education? So this is also an interesting question that students would have answered very differently last year. Even more differently the year before from how you are going to answer it now. So I'm very interested to see what your responses are. And I'll give you about 10 minutes to answer this because I really want you to think about it. And if you need to quickly go into Google or ChatGPT to do some research quickly, then by all means, then you'll have a little bit of time to do so if you haven't had a chance to read up on this as yet. So how have changes that occurred in South African higher education over the past decade impacted on curricula in higher education? So I'll give you 10 minutes. Okay, so I see some nice ideas have come through from Kavi, Diana, and Langlishle. Thank you. So we have, first of all, Kavi, who speaks about increasing diversity amongst the student population. In the past, it was, a demographic of South African learners. Now we have also a huge inclusion of international students in our classrooms. Then, of course, the tech landscapes and accessibility, most definitely. You'll have to speak about AI here and the impact that that will have on higher education curricula. And then, of course, yes, the private and non-government higher education institutions, like everyone trying to outdo the other to see, what makes us different so that students will choose us and not our competitors. So most definitely that also influences curriculum design. And then Diana says there's a more inclusive and relevant curricula to cater for that diverse perspective. And then Langalihle correctly says the integration of African cultural content and reducing European dominance. That's the decolonization of the curriculum. So most definitely all of those. But also think about, and here I'm not going to obviously go into too much of detail because it is your ICE task, an assignment possibly. So I really want you to think more about this, but also look at fees must fall and how that has impacted on higher education and curriculum. And also COVID, that put us completely upside down. And, sort of now that we lying sideways, still trying to stand. So yeah, have a look at it. And most definitely everything that was said, but yeah, maybe also you might want to consider those. Is there anything else that anybody would like to add or anything that you're not sure of? If everything's fine and you have nothing else to add, you can give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to add or ask anything, raise your hand and then we can go there. Cool, lots of thumbs ups. Awesome. Okay, so this is our first lecture to give you an overview and some context and a little bit of an orientation into the module. So where do we go now? Complete Learning Unit 1. Like we said, it's for the first week, and then complete ICE 1 and start working on Assignment 1, Question 1. And then our next collab will be the following Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we will have TLHE at the same time. And then the following Wednesday, we have CURS again. And so it will go until your midterm break. Okay, so yeah, finish up Learning Unit 1, and then you can start up Learning Unit 2. And it's best to start working, as you know, on your assignments from now, so that when, collaboration and submission and all of that happens, then you're not feeling overwhelmed, okay? So that's what you have to do. And then the list of things that I now have to do, I will get you the schedule, your PESA and all the dates and everything populated by tomorrow. And I will also try and complete your TLHE and now the CURS summative. Sure, Danielle, you've really loaded me, hey? Um, I'll try and get all of those to you by tomorrow, latest by the end of the week, which is the day after tomorrow. But yeah, okay, so all of that will be done for you. So that's it from my side. Is there anything else, or are you good? Can we wrap up? And then I will see you next Wednesday for TLHE. Great. Okay. Have a lovely evening, everybody. And yeah, huge welcome back. And I hope that you're going to have a really lovely semester full of learning and yeah, all of that. Okay, good night. Bye-bye.